Let's get right to it. We're diving into a topic that's been sparking heated debates and igniting generational tensions. Are baby boomers the most selfish generation in history? Is this label a fair assessment or a gross oversimplification? This explosive question has become a rallying cry, a symbol of the growing divide between generations. For younger generations facing a future, a landscape riddled with challenges, that looks far less secure than their parents. A future where the promises of prosperity seem increasingly out of reach. The evidence is everywhere, staring us in the face from every corner of society. Skyrocketing housing costs, making homeownership an increasingly distant dream for many, crushing student debt, a burden that weighs down young adults for decades, and a broken promise that each generation will do better than the last. The traditional markers of success seem harder and harder to attain. The narrative goes, a story that's been repeated and amplified across social media and news outlets. Boomers had it all, a golden era of opportunity and growth seemingly handed to them. Cheap education, allowing them to pursue higher learning without crippling debt, affordable homes, making the dream of homeownership a tangible reality for many young families, stable jobs, providing a sense of security and a clear path to upward mobility, and left the bill for everyone else. A legacy of debt and environmental damage, some argue. OK Boomer wasn't just a meme, it was more than just a viral trend. It was a howl of frustration from those feeling left behind, a digital scream echoing the anxieties of a generation. But is it really that simple? Can we truly reduce such a complex issue to a single generational label? Is an entire generation truly a monolithic block of villains? Are we falling into the trap of harmful stereotypes? Blaming boomers is emotionally satisfying, it offers a convenient target for our collective anxieties. But the real story is about how the rules of the game, the very foundations of our economic system, have been systematically rewritten, often behind closed doors, benefiting a select few at the expense of many. The frustration is justified. The economic realities facing younger generations are undeniably challenging, but the target might be off. Perhaps we need to look beyond generational labels and examine the systemic forces at play. Before we put a whole generation on trial, leveling accusations and assigning blame, it's crucial to take a step back. We need to examine the very foundation upon which these judgments are built. Are we truly understanding the nuances and complexities of the group we're about to scrutinize? Let's define our terms. It's essential to establish a clear and concise understanding of the language we're using. Generational labels like Boomer, Millennial, and Gen Z are often used as insults or stereotypes, frequently thrown around in online debates and casual conversations, often carrying negative connotations and oversimplified assumptions. But they're mostly arbitrary. The boundaries between these generations are not always clear-cut, and individuals may identify with characteristics of multiple groups. The exception? Baby boomers, born between 1946 and 1964, this particular generation stands out due to specific historical circumstances, a genuine demographic event after World War II. The end of the war led to a period of unprecedented economic prosperity and social change, contributing to a surge in birth rates. But even within boomers, experiences vary wildly, shaped by factors such as socioeconomic background, geographic location, and personal choices. A boomer born in 1946 lived through the Vietnam War, witnessing firsthand the social and political upheaval of the era, while one born in 1964 entered adulthood in the Reagan era. Their formative years were shaped by different economic policies and cultural trends. Treating them as a single unified entity is absurd. It ignores the rich tapestry of individual stories and perspectives that make up this generation. When we use boomer as shorthand for the establishment or the wealthy, we risk misidentifying the true sources of power and influence in society. We obscure the truth. We prevent ourselves from seeing the bigger picture and understanding the systemic issues at play. The real issue isn't a birth year. It's not about when someone was born. It's a set of policies and economic structures, the systems and regulations that govern our society, that benefit a specific class, a select group of individuals who hold significant wealth and influence, not an entire generation. It's not fair or accurate to paint an entire group of people with the same brush. Focusing on generational caricatures, these simplified and often negative portrayals distracts us from who actually holds power. It diverts our attention from the individuals and institutions that shape our world. If we want real change, if we are truly committed to creating a more just and equitable society, we need to look beyond the labels. We must move past superficial categorizations and delve into the underlying causes of inequality and injustice. To understand the world boomers inherited, look at the post-1E2 era, a time of unprecedented prosperity in the West. From 1945 to the mid-1970s, economies boomed and growth was widely shared. Strong unions, public investment, and affordable education created a system where hard work meant a better life. A single income could buy a home, raise a family, and save for retirement. This wasn't because boomers were uniquely hard-working. It was the system that made middle-class prosperity possible. But this golden age wasn't golden for everyone. Women and people of color were often excluded. Still, the gap between rich and poor was shrinking, and wealth was less concentrated. The system distributed prosperity in a way that seems almost alien today. But this system wasn't built to last. The rules would soon change. Here's the paradox. Life is full of cheap luxuries, smartphones, streaming, travel. Yet the basics are out of reach. Globalization and technology made consumer goods cheaper, creating an illusion of prosperity. But the cost of essentials, housing, education, healthcare, has exploded. Housing costs have outpaced incomes, student debt is a crisis, and healthcare can bankrupt families. Yes, young people can buy better TVs than their grandparents, but can't afford homes or security. The system is optimized for cheap goods, not for building a stable life. This benefits corporations and asset owners, not those starting from scratch. For young people, it's a brutal trade-off. More stuff, but less stability. The fundamentals of a good life have slipped out of reach. Let's look at the numbers, the cold, hard facts that paint a picture of a shifting economic landscape. We're going to delve into the data, dissect the trends, and understand the forces at play that are reshaping the financial realities for younger generations. Back in 1980, a U.S. home cost about 3 times the median income. A manageable ratio that allowed many families to achieve the dream of homeownership. It was a time when a single-income household could realistically aspire to own a piece of the American pie. But fast forward to today, and that ratio has ballooned to over 7 times the median income. The dream of owning a home has become increasingly out of reach for many, especially young adults just starting their careers. Skyrocketing prices have created a significant barrier to entry. Millennials and Gen Z, the generations that have come of age in the 21st century, have far lower homeownership rates than boomers did at the same age. They face a housing market that is significantly more challenging, with higher prices, stagnant wages, and a mountain of student debt. The dream of owning a home is fading, becoming a distant aspiration for many young people who are struggling to make ends meet in an increasingly expensive world. It's being replaced by lifelong renting and lost opportunities to build wealth, trapping many in a cycle of financial insecurity. The stability and security that homeownership once provided are now elusive for a large segment of the population. Home equity was once the main way families passed wealth to the next generation, a cornerstone of the American dream, allowing families to build a secure financial future for their children. But now, that cycle is broken, leaving many young people without the financial head start that previous generations enjoyed. The traditional path to wealth accumulation has been disrupted. Meanwhile, student debt has soared past $1.7 trillion, creating a massive burden for young people trying to start their lives. The cost of higher education has skyrocketed, leaving many graduates with crippling debt. And young people start their careers deep in the red, struggling to pay off their loans while also trying to afford basic necessities. This financial pressure can have a significant impact on their mental and emotional well-being. Easy credit and buy now, pay later schemes, marketed as convenient solutions, make it even easier to slip into debt, creating a cycle of borrowing and repayment that can be difficult to escape. These seemingly harmless options can quickly turn into a financial trap. This financial trap delays everything. Major life decisions are put on hold as young people struggle to manage their debt and make ends meet, starting families, saving for the future, taking risks, and pursuing entrepreneurial ventures. The weight of debt can stifle innovation and limit opportunities. When boomers say, "I worked my way through college and bought a house," it's often said without acknowledging the vastly different economic realities of today. They played a different game, with different rules, in a time when college was more affordable and wages kept pace with the cost of living. Today's young people face a system stacked against them, a system where the odds are significantly less in their favor. The field has changed. The economic landscape has been transformed, creating new challenges and obstacles for young people to overcome. And so have the odds. making it more difficult than ever for young people to achieve the same level of financial security as previous generations. If the economy grew, why are young people struggling? The answer: wealth went to the top. The last 40 years saw staggering wealth concentration. Not generational theft, but class division. The top 1% now owns nearly half the world's wealth. In the US, boomers hold over 50% of household wealth, but most of it is concentrated among the richest 10%. The average boomer is closer to a struggling millennial than to a billionaire. This didn't happen by accident. Policy choices slashed taxes for the rich, weakened unions, and deregulated markets. The system funnels money upward, relentlessly. Blaming all boomers is a mistake. The real winners are the ultra-wealthy of all ages. The people making decisions, CEOs, lobbyists, politicians, aren't acting on behalf of a generation but for capital. The problem is extreme inequality, not age. The great wealth transfer is coming. Trillions in assets will pass from boomers to their heirs. Sounds like a fix, but it's not. Most of this wealth will go to a small, already privileged group. For a lucky few, inheritance will be life-changing. For most, it means nothing. This will widen the gap between haves and have-nots among Millennials and Gen Z. Smaller families mean inheritances are concentrated even further. Instead of meritocracy, we're creating a new aristocracy: success based on the luck of birth, not hard work. The great wealth transfer will lock in inequality for generations. It's not a solution, it's a mechanism for deepening the divide. If the system is so unfair, why don't young people just vote for change? Older voters dominate politics, they vote more organized, better, and politicians cater to their interests. Issues like climate change and student debt take a back seat to protecting retirement benefits and property values. Young people face barriers, frequent moves, gig work, and a sense that the system is rigged. This isn't apathy, it's a rational response to being ignored. Without political power, younger generations can't drive the changes they need. Solving housing, education, and inequality requires political will, and that means building youth power. Until then, policy will keep favoring the old and wealthy. So, are boomers the most selfish generation? No. The real villain isn't a generation. It's a system engineered to funnel wealth and power to a tiny elite. Rising inequality isn't about generational conflict, it's about class and policy. The same forces hurting young people have squeezed middle-class boomers too. The ultra-wealthy from every generation benefit from a rigged system. Pointing fingers across the generational divide only distracts us from the real fight. Globally, the story is even more complex. While Western middle classes struggle, global poverty has fallen. The solution isn't a generational war, but a cross-generational alliance for systemic change. We need fairer taxes, investment in public goods, and stronger worker power. The enemy isn't your uncle. It's a system that puts greed above all else. Let's fight it together.